Welcome to another episode of Haunt Behind the Scare. In today's episode, we go to the one haunted house in this documentary series that was in the original Haunt Behind the Scare documentary, and that, of course, is Wells Township Haunted House. One of our favorite things about doing this and just doing the reviews is getting to meet a lot of the people that are part of the industry.
Yes.
And one of just the coolest people we met many years ago, before even doing the first documentary, was the person that runs this named Sean Norman, which you'll see briefly in this. He has one of the people that was actually originally one of our tour guides. And if you're like, tour guide, what's that about? You'll get to hear more about that in a minute. But she's the one that guided us through the most. But Sean Norman is just one of the most hospitable, just like genuinely nice people.
Yes.
It's an absolutely unique haunted house. Again, you have a tour guide. You get to really spend some time in the scenes. There's really nothing else out there like it, which is what is always one of me and Kim's favorite things, are these haunted houses that are unique.
Yes.
But yes, we won't keep you here any longer into the dungeon, but we will see you back here at the very end of the video. But for now, we hope you enjoy this episode of Haunt
Behind
the
Scare. Sean Norman. I am the president and director of the Wells Township Haunted House. I use those terms loosely because there's other people around that let me assume those roles. A number of years ago, the township government ran a haunted attraction here in town. It was on a smaller scale. I was hanging out there one night volunteering, and it kind of went from there. They were going to close the place down. Some kids came to me and said, "Hey, you know, what if we got involved in this?" And we just kind of went from there. We took police officers, other trusted adults, and some teenagers from the area, and started building a haunted house. We wanted to show them skills and surround them with good people, and surround us with creative insight and creative input. And it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing to where we are now. We became the Wells Township Haunted House. Every place, you see a walkthrough, self-guided tour. And to each their own, man. There's some very creative ones, some really, really good ones, and some really, really elaborate ones. But when you have a guided tour, you eliminate the Congo lines. First off, ours is a token system. We've seen a lot of people start to try and duplicate that now. So when you first get here, you buy your ticket, you hang out in the yard. You're assigned a group number. And when your group number shows up on the now serving, if you will, sign, then you know it's your turn to come to the front of the house to get ready to go in. So instead of standing in that line the whole time you're there, which could be sometimes several hours at any popular haunted attraction, it's the same as you would a roller coaster. And imagine a roller coaster is only 1 minute and 2 seconds long, and you'll stand in line for 3 hours to get on that. Well, our show's between 20 to 35 minutes, and you're standing in line the same amount of time. So we're working and constantly working on that. A tour guide can go into a room. Each room is computerized. There's a button that a tour guide will either elaborately push or nonchalantly push. And if the room ahead of them is not ready to accept people, then it stops that room from starting. What it does is it keeps that space so that tours don't run into each other. We've been very creative and very meticulous about how we make sure we don't have that Congo line. So a self-guided walkthrough, if there's 3-4 people in front of me in the group in front of me and 12 and the people behind, you end up as you catch up with them people, and the people behind you catch up with you, and then you see the scare or the setup 3 or 4 times before you get to it because you're walking really slow. Ours is different because it allows you to get into a room, get set up, and see the entire scene. Our haunted house, just about every room you stop in, you stand in a certain spot. The tour guide is there as your guide through the house, but also to make sure you're not standing somewhere where this animatronic is coming, because we're pretty violent with some of the things that we do. You shoot out through the wall and shoot up from the floor or down from the ceiling. You're placed in the spot sometimes for your safety, but it allows you to really be involved and consume that scene. So you walk through with our tour guide, who's not, hi, I'm your tour guide, follow me, with a flashlight like you would at a movie theater. These are in character, they're part of the show. They make sure that you become part of the show. And they'll bring you into a room, you'll stop, watch a scene develop, get your scare, and then they'll bring you into the next room where you'll stop, watch a scene, get your scare, and really be consumed part of that with that room. So you really get to take it in. You're not just 3 seconds in each room. Sometimes it's up to a minute, sometimes longer, and you can really see everything and start to take it in, the sights, the smells even.
Hi, my name is Erica. I am a makeup artist, set designer, room builder, acting coach, mentor, just a little bit of everything. I've been with the haunt since 2010. All right, so we're gonna go into a little bit of talking about how we get started on a night that we are open. Okay, all right, so each night varies. We generally have around 4 makeup artists, but as far as actors go, some nights it could be 100, sometimes it could be 20. It's a little bit of mix. It also depends on the season. We do quite a few masks depending on the room, but we like to touch on makeup. So once we know what room that the actor is going to be in, we will call you in by room. So, you know, it might not be me for all the room, like all of the makeup artists know what the room makeup is going to be, whether it's a mask, whether it's a doll, a bloody, maybe you could just be all blacked out because that's just somewhere in the dark that you're going to be. Once you get an airbrush, a mask, whatever it may be, we send you up to the costume room. Once you're into the costume room, they will provide you the costume for the specific area of the house that you're going to be working. Once they go into costume, they are taken to the room that they're going to be working, and an acting coach will come around, give them a rough idea of what they're supposed to be doing in that room. A lot of times they're repeats, so maybe they worked in there the weekend before. Give them a rough idea of, you get the feel of that, this is how you're gonna do it. You practice with it a little bit, I'll be back around. And then that's what they do for about an hour. They get the feel of the room, what their acting is, and then we open the doors and the first group goes through.
Cool.
All right, so we are in the first room of the house. This is basically an introduction to the house. It is what we call the porch. Doesn't look like a porch. It used to look like a porch, but we call it the porch. In this room, like I said, it's an introduction. So you come in, we have like stadium style seating behind you. Sorry, it is dark in here. So when the group comes in, this is a tour guide driven room. So there's no actor in here. It's all voiceover. The tour guide brings their group in from outside, places them on the benches. The room begins. A dramatic push of the group toward here. Behind here is like a two-way mirror. So the lighting and the effects is what really makes this room work. We have what we call the puppet behind it. It's a prop. It's a voice. Like I said, it's a voiceover. It introduces the house without giving away too much. Kind of like a storyline, and it's almost misleading, but it sets you up for what's to come and giving that chance for the tour guide to gather your group and get you started into the rest of the house. Since we've moved on from the opening room to the porch, the tour guide will gather their group and bring them up to what we call the top of the stairs. In here this year, as you can see, library, study, just another holding out area, not so much a theme to the room, not really a storyline, but just commentary, a couple jump scares here and there, but more or less another slowdown to let the guide accommodate the group, since we are a guided walkthrough. So we have one person pulling a group of 10 or more sometimes through the house. But this room we just kind of based around, we wanted that old, almost abandoned feel But as you see here, what we call our grandma phone, the gramophone, we acquired that along with the sound in the room is an old song playing from a gramophone that was pre-recorded. But that's basically the gist of it in here. Again, a couple jump scares, pop scares, things like that. Stuff that's just not expected because this isn't a storyline in this room. So leading out of the library, we're calling this room the Well. You'll see once I explain. This is very similar to the room, the way that we have been doing the room for the last couple of years. With the light, you have a figure that is on this side of the room. Your group's back here behind the camera. The light shut off. The figure appears in a different part of the room. We're still basing it off of that, like the way we did, but as you can see, we're filling it in. We're giving it a little bit different of a look. We've working on a well back here, DIY well, as I call it. We will have a figure coming out of that.
It looks really good.
The room will be set up a little bit different because in the past, the groups were standing back here. That's not necessarily going to be the case this year, but it's more, we like to do a lot of misdirection here because it's not always about the gory and you know, covered in blood and the screaming and the wailing and all of that stuff. It's about the creepy and how you set it up. So we're in the process of filling this in with more. It's, you know, a stroll through the forest kind of deal and the misdirection in here. Leading out of the room that we're calling the Well, that we are now in the Morg. This room designed for group interaction as well. So the group's going to come in. The room is already in motion. The doctor's in here working on their beautiful patient. He needs a little bit of light. He's letting the tour guide know that he needs some help. Again, with a lot of haunts, especially the ones with the mini movies in each room, it's all about the lighting and the timing and the sounds and the makeup. So in the specific timeline of this room, we have a scare coming from this direction, from under the table. There's loud sounds that are being made by somebody who's not supposed to be scary. He's just a doctor. So this room is just pretty much turns into a work scene on a cadaver to utter chaos. We generally call this area of the house, we just refer to it as the pay to scare, because outside where the groups wait before you come into the house listening to the bands, there's a area by the gift shop you can drop change into, and you are the scare. You create the scare. So not only have we used that in the past for the other customers outside to scare the groups that are already in the house, but we have a lot of things on motion sensors, including this wall. This wall drops at them.
Yeah.
And there is also air cannons underneath
Space here.
of the right here is an air cannon.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Under that dust.
Grandma.
This will just be a quick in here because this is a lot more just chaos. This is the Asylum, so insane Asylum. So you have patients in here. You have patients behind plexiglass being, I don't know, insane, because it's insane Asylum. So you're walking through here. You know, we make this snug through here for a reason. Get a little bit more intimate and scary. You come into the padded cell. As you can see, we're not done. We're putting stuff, but we have a torture room in here. I bet you can't guess what that's going to be. And then that's about it as far as the Asylum, because it's basically just wandering, a wandering set, I guess is what I would call it. All right, so now with this room we call the bridges. As you can see, there's bridges. In the past, this room is filled with a lot of fog. We have a lot of creatures in ghillie suits blending in. You don't see them at all. They might be down here below your feet. They might be hanging from up here, or they might come down at you. This year, I mean, we plan on keeping this. We're doing a couple changes for it. There will be different creatures in here, more detail. It's still going to be more of that outdoor feel like it is, but different. So really this room, it designs itself. The scare in itself, like I said, you can have one actor in this room, you could have 10 actors in this room, and it does the work for you.
Yeah.
Not that this is a real big secret, but we tend to give our rooms special names, and kind of gives it away to our actors so they know where they're going. We know what we're doing in there. We know what we have to finish. We know what the scare is going to be. But coming from the outside as a customer, as a review team, you don't know this. So this room we have lovingly dubbed Skid Crow. Because obviously you could see the walls are brought out by skids. This room is going to be filled with garden supplies, corn stalks. This will be a raised garden where they're restarting their new stock. Different scarecrows in the room. This room is based on an old lore of keeping the rose and people disappearing and just trying to discover that mystery of what it is. But the scares in here, again, are a lot of a misdirection because there's also trapdoors. And without giving too much away, since I gave you the name that we call the room, Skid Crow, but even behind you is another door, but that's where the scares come from that you never even know. So in this room, we are just calling the cabin. This is going to have a 80s slasher film vibe, camp counselor, bunk beds, the Goonies posters on the walls. This room is just based around that old slasher film, like I had mentioned to you guys earlier, that you don't have to have a whole lot of blood. You don't have to have all that, but sometimes it's warranted and sometimes it's necessary and it works. And this room will probably be one of those rooms as far as what the scare is in the room. But another one of those rooms of just coming in, kind of looking around, and that pop to jump scare, and it just works for itself.
I like the little Gumby thing that's over here. Just looking at him. I kind of forgot. That Gumby was a thing that existed.
Did they move it out of here? Oh, look. This is funny.
What's up?
I didn't think it was funny at all. But one year I came here, we were open, and I was getting ready to do everything, to start getting makeup and all that. These pictures were plastered all over this house. The same picture of Sean Norman.
That's funny. Plastered
all over this house. I was not at all thrilled at first, but what I think is still funny is to this day, they're still just randomly scattered throughout the house. There's even one ended up at my house.
Well, I don't think we're different. I mean, everyone's going to say they're different than the next guy and different than the previous guy. We never took the previous guy or never assumed what the next guy might be doing. We've just kind of done our own thing. We have a very creative crew, and we come up with our own thing, our own ideas, our own themes. And when we go to other haunted houses or haunted attractions, we go there to enjoy that and network with other people. But I think one of the things that makes us so different, the main thing, is our people. The people that are here that have the dedication to be involved in this process, because it is a hell of a process that starts in and around December and runs all the way through. And really the off season for us is only a few weeks because you get started right away getting things redone. So what makes us different? It could be that it's a guided tour. It could be that it still holds on to that old school JC's type haunted house, that experience. But it's an experience from start to finish. When you open the car door to the time you walk in and start driving down the road, and sometimes it's still going on then. But it's just that it's so unique. What makes us unique is the people they've bought into, and their excitement, their enthusiasm, their desire, their dedication, their loyalty. So many. I mean, you're not talking one or two people. You're talking over 100 people that have bought into that are just making this place so unique with the scares that we do and the type of approach that we take and the show that we're trying to put on.
Okay, so now we've moved on. We're in the room that we've had. John's going to tell you he hates to see it go. He's going to tell you I'm glad it's leaving. It is a cool effect. Your group comes in. We squeeze you in here. Put the arm bar down so nobody goes out because this floor is connected to air. This curtain is raised when you get in, so you just feel like you're looking just at nothing. The curtain falls. The floor begins to move. It brings you closer to the tombstone with the Mario hat. As you're looking at that and expecting something to be coming from this direction, falls with barrels that roll at you, and we're talking almost right in front of your face, but they are connected to chains up there. So this room alone, like it's really cool because we utilize a lot of the air, but something so simple that Sean prides us in is just the different sounds. Like even though the chains aren't to be seen up here, holding the barrels back, actually coming down, just the sounds that it makes, and the old Nintendo sounds from the old games really makes this room what it was until the barrels dropped on you. We are it's an old style vampire. As you can see, lots of detail work in the carving. This is insulating foam that we have carved to make like bricks and stones, nameplates. Secret on our horror movie characters. Some of them are my name, my child's name, just random people who work here, their names. So that's always pretty cool. Shout out to Riley here and the girl up here, Anna, who makes these nameplates. But this room is centered around, you have this old toe pincher coffin. You'll have a person in the coffin. You have the storyteller in the room. Don't look too closely right now because we are still in the middle of finishing this room. You'll have your voice effects and the storytelling in the room, and then you have a scare coming out of the hidey holes, which, without going into too much detail of that, because this is brand new, like a bat creature that we have been calling Bat Boy. So. Another room that's not completely finished. It's close, but we have some more small detail to add in. We don't have the lights and sound on in here, but this room is what we're calling the Granny. Welcome to Nana's place. Nana had a little bit of an issue with her sweets. We have an actor in here that likes to communicate with the group with some banter back and forth. Just like most old people, there's some sounds going to be coming from Granny that she cannot help. It's funny, but it's just the way of life. That's just what it is. So we're going to showcase that. So this is normally on air. The bookcase opens up, and that leads into our claustrophobia tunnel.
Being involved in the operation of Wells Township Haunted House, we're over 20 years. Probably 35 all together in the industry. I worked at, I helped at this haunted house or that haunted house and was involved in different things. I remember the first haunted house I worked at was in the basement of a church. And you can imagine some people who were churchgoers didn't appreciate that. The church that I went to was very forward thinking and very creative with the stuff that they did, and it was a guided tour, and I saw that and I thought this is, and then I went through a self-guided walkthrough, and it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't, it was, this is cool, but some self-guided tours are designed to get you in and get you out, and they want you out. They don't want you hanging out watching the vans. They don't want, there's none of that going on. Get out, get in your car, and get out of the parking lot because they want to fill that spot with another paying customer. We don't run this place to fill pockets. It's really that simple.
So that kind of, separate question. So that's kind of what seeded the idea probably for the guided tours was the fact.
Yeah, and then
when got that from there.
Yeah, when another haunted house that was in our area had closed its doors after being the very successful over the years, they also did it the same way. So when their staff joined ours, and we always said, one of our guys, Jimmy, put the two evils have finally come together is what they said, and it just when those two minds got together, and they did it the same way, and it just feels natural. We've toyed with the idea of maybe putting a person in a section to guide you into the next, but the problem with that is if I am your tour guide, by the time we've left the first room, I've already started to make a connection. I've already decided who my most fearless person is, who my person is that's scared to death and they're not going to be enjoying themselves if we try to scare them, and then who's going to be the perfect target to get scared. You can't just pass that off to somebody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you have a tour guide who's competent enough to take care of that and realize that, it really makes that experience for that tour even that much better, because now that tour guide realizes that it's your birthday. So they're going to make that show memorable for you. They're going to make things happen that, they're going to be standing behind you going like this because they've recognized this is the person that really that really wants to get it, or her friends want you to get them, or this person's afraid of scarecrows or clowns, things like that. So that's one of the big reasons for a tour guide or a guided tour, because you get that connection.
Okay, so leading out of Granny, you go into the claustrophobia tunnel. You're born again. Leading into an old living room. There is an exorcism taking place in here. Just to tell you a little bit about the room, we'll probably have some spinning decor to add to the scare. There might be some scurrying up walls. That's to be determined. But to talk a little bit about the decor in here, just how simple that it can be, cost effective. We are we are all strictly volunteers here. We do a lot of DIY, and we are a nonprofit. So what we earn, we bring back into the haunt. So something just as much as this wallpaper. This is not wallpaper. This is wrapping paper. Straight off of Amazon.
That's awesome.
And it is also not finished, but I have started detailing it with various paints. But we like to do a lot of staining of with different things like coffee and tea, which is kind of why it smells a little bit like Dunkin' in here. But this room is designed to not have a lot of filler in here, because in the beginning of the scene, the scene is already happening when the group comes in. So it will be explained on why. Like, they've cleared out the room and it's set. Everything it's safe to go to begin the exorcism on the victims.
Here is the slide.
Yeah, we got it covered from the paint, so we don't have to wax too much on it. Okay, so after you leave where our exorcism is taking place, we send the group down the slide. Slide is currently covered because we've been painting in here. This room is a little bit cool to talk about because it is pretty simple. I mean, obviously we have an air brake to stop this, but the reason why this room is cool because it looks so plain right now. We've got a couple things that we're going to do, but this is a prequel to another room that we are going to see. Basically a short, not so much silent film, but the decor that will be in this room will be made and painted and added as we are filming the video that leads you into the next room. So a little bit in here, almost like a serial killer staging area. Putting the group, once they come off the slide, we'll put half the group on here, kind of chain them up, tie them up on here, and they become a part of the scare. So, you know, they're being spun around. We'll put the other side of the other half of the group on and send them out, and then that's where it's going to get pretty cool. Okay, so when we leave the bottom of the slide area, the serial killer staging area, we have our alternate endings. So one group will go to the left, one group will go to the right. We chose this room first to show you because it is the film of the previous room that we were in with the serial killer, the prequel. So when the group comes into this room, obviously, as you can see, there's nothing that's been done in here quite yet, but we're in the process of filming a video for this, and that is where I was talking about at the bottom of the slide. that the decor in that room will be set as we are making the film. So the blood and the different sounds and things like that will be from there and added in here. So once the group gets in here, it's almost as if they got to see what was happening without knowing. They come in here, they're seeing the film, and they're like, wait a minute, that's us now. So now we're a part of the scare. And that's when the scare happens, and the scare will just be the serial killer of our choosing. Like I was talking about earlier, we have alternate endings, dual endings, whatever you want to call them. So we had the other room with the serial killer movie. And then in this room, we have been dubbing it as Enter the Hour. It's more of a theatrical with a strong power figure that will change. How do I want to word this without giving away too much? Let's just say she grows. She grows, she becomes bigger and stronger, and then just like we're known for in our haunt, both of our endings are always the scare is chainsaw. We know it's coming. It's just where it's coming from, how it's coming from the room, and what the set is going to be. So it's more or less, this room is about power. So
yeah, and everything that's in this room now is basically going to be
yes,
gone.
It's going to be gone. Yes,
so as cool as all this looks,
it'll be a lot of black and white, a lot of like almost kind of like put you in the mindset of like how the vampire was with the fabric. There'll be fabrics, but there's going to be decor on the walls, and everything is going to be a lot of black and white base, just like the figure that's going to raise and get bigger.
So what is it that makes you continuously want to do this year after year?
I'm gonna tell you what, it's certainly not profit because I don't make a dime off of it. And the person who fills out the online form, and we bring them in tomorrow, and they start tomorrow. I always tell them this: I make the same amount as you do, nothing. What makes me want to keep doing it is the people here, the camaraderie, man. These are my family members. They really truly are. I love them, and they love me. There's no, you have them. It's family. You can't wait to get to grandma's house on Sunday for dinner. I can't wait to get down here and see this person or that person. And like I'm over the moon because one of our staff members just had a baby. And one of our other staff members just got a degree in one of his college courses. And you feel like that's your brother, right? As old as I am, I guess that's my son and my daughter. I mean, it's just the family atmosphere that we have here. We and don't get me wrong. There's times we bicker at each other. There's times we yell at each other, but it's fun watching all this go through. So many people that put so much into this, heart, soul, and legitimately blood, sweat, and tears, and then to be able to stand outside and when we're open on event nights and watch all these people from all over the tri-state and beyond that come here with their families and want me to take the pictures so they could get a picture underneath of our sign outside, treating it like it's Disneyland to them. It's just it never ever gets old. And to go through and see that kid that maybe he's a high school football player, but maybe she doesn't do any of that stuff, and this is her high school football team, and to see them just take that and let that team, their teammates, and just they're part of something very, very special, and they know it. And when they go beyond that and they move and they go and they become successful somewhere, then we are too. That's what keeps bringing me back. I can't wait to do it again this year. And someday they'll drag me out of here because I don't plan on leaving. You know what I mean?
Welcome back, everybody. How was your ride? We hope you enjoyed this episode of getting a behind-the-scenes look at Wells Township Haunted House. Again, we had a lot of fun just talking with them there and just getting to see some of the stuff. And by the time you're watching this, they're going to either be open or really close to being open. I'd have to calculate in my head, which I'm not doing at this exact moment. So you'll have seen some of this stuff, but when we're filming this, again, we of course haven't seen like these scenes that they showed us finished.
Yeah.
And there's some ones that I'm really intrigued by this year.
I am really intrigued by some of these, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing about Wells Township, and I'm going to equate it, and it's a weird comparison to make, but I think the thing I like about it is it kind of gives me the same vibe as something like Halloween Horror Nights, and what I mean by that is, so Halloween Horror Nights has 10 different haunted houses every year.
Yes.
Wells Township, obviously, it's not that many haunted houses, but it's that many different rooms, and you
Yeah.
never know what you're going to get. And like each year, there might be a year that's your favorite because they had a couple rooms that really like were your cup of tea, but it might be like a different favorite for mine or something because
Yeah.
there was a year where I liked things
Yeah.
that were different.
Like one year they had, if you're a Whovian, you know what this is. They had weeping angels. And that just totally went into my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And they did a really good job of it too. And, it's amazing how they just come up with these like little ideas and stuff, and just the way they execute them is just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that it's just like a community event. It's all, like nonprofit basically, and just these kids, and not just kids, but so many people beginning just be creative and having their own room. It's such a unique thing for a haunt, and absolutely check this place out. There's a lot of other haunts in the area as well, so you can make a whole night of it. There's things like Infernum and Terra. There's Moundsville Prison, which isn't that far away, and a few others you can find.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's quite a few in the area that you can make a night of. And again, since there's no queues and stuff like that, kind of like a nice party atmosphere. They have bands outside most nights and concessions, and I think vendors now too and stuff like that. So, and a pay-to-scare, which, yeah. But yes, the next episode that's coming up should be Fright Farm, Rich's Fright Farm, which is going to be a pretty big episode because that is a haunted trail, a haunted house, like a haunted slaughter barn. It's a gigantic, like hour-long walk-through haunt. So that's a really cool video. And then the finale, again, will be Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse. So, yep. If you're watching this in the future, they're already out. But if not, look out for those. And the best way to look out for those is like and subscribing. And, of course, ringing that notification bell, so you don't miss any future upcoming videos, like another episode of these, or one of our haunt reviews, or whatever other thing we might be doing, looking for a ghost or God knows what. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.